Before we start today's score predictions video, I would like the time to offer my condolences to Afobe and his family following the loss of their 2-year-old daughter, Amora. Whenever we lose someone, whether you're a footballer, whether you're a firefighter, or whether you're anyone, we all act human in a way when these sort of tragic losses part. Footballers, we consider them to have a really strong mentality, a really competitive mentality, wanting to win the game. But when stuff like that happens, tragic stuff like that happens, you can't help but to feel vulnerable and human at that moment. And with footballers like Afobe, who is a talent, who's won promotion with Wolves, obviously had the season with Stoke and now on loan at Bristol City, started out in the Arsenal Academy. And when Afobe's got a really season-long injury that he has to lay down recovering with the grief of losing his daughter. He can't even play football to try and move on from it. He is suffering, and all I can say, I'm going to be completely helpless in the whole situation. And even if he doesn't see this tribute, I offer my condolences to Afobe, his family, his wife, and of course his 2-year-old daughter, Amora. But now let's move on to my score predictions for matchday 20. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're doing my score predictions for matchday 20 now. I cannot believe we've already got 20 games played. The championship season is going very, very quickly, let me tell you. What I will say as well, after 23 games I've played, it'll be 50% of the season done, and I've checked, it's nearing and around Christmas time. In Christmas Day, I'm thinking of uploading my mid-season predictions, where hopefully I can almost redeem myself from the horror show that is my July predictions, because let me tell you, some are not great. I mean, listen to this. Under Jonathan Woodgate, I feel like they'll do okay under him. I think like he'll get them playing a more expansive, a more exciting type of football. Yeah, I'm hoping to really move on from it. On Christmas Day, I'll be able to redeem myself and get some better predictions down. Also with this series, as you know, I leave all the games in the description down below. You can make as many predictions as you like, and if you get one correct prediction, you get a shout out and you'll be included in the Alexa's Hall of Fame. We've got 2 members of Alexa's Hall of Fame at the moment. I hope to continue having more members. As always, if you really like what you see, you want to continue seeing this series on the channel, make sure you do give a video a like, share it to any championship fan. It'll be appreciated if we get more fans, and to subscribe if you haven't already. All of that will be tremendously appreciated, and it will make my YouTube experience feel a lot more worthwhile. By the way, I'm really sorry I didn't release my November team of the month. On the screen right now is my November team of the month. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. I've continued using the 3-5-2 formation. If you want me to use a different formation for the next team of the month, let me know in the comments down below. But without any further ado, let's move on and start predicting matchday 20 of the championship. So the Friday's game is Millwall versus Nottingham Forest. Millwall under Gary Rowett have improved dramatically. They're playing a lot more expansive, I feel, and they've got a lot more confidence. They've still got that new managerial bounce. I can sense that in every game that they play. Nottingham Forest, they've been pretty good all throughout the whole season, although they had a little bit of a blip last weekend when they failed to beat Cardiff at the City Ground as well, which really did surprise me. And what really surprised me was how clinical they weren't. And that really shocked me with the likes when you have Lewis Grabban in your team and you've got so many creative players like João Carvalho and Thiago Silva. I was really surprised that Nottingham Forest couldn't punch through Cardiff, but they really didn't, and they really exposed Nottingham Forest's weakness, I felt. In terms of head-to-head record against these two sides, Millwall have a slightly stronger record in recent years. Despite the high position though, I'm going to predict that Nottingham Forest get a 2-1 away victory. I think Nottingham Forest have it within them to have a really strong away record. They do have a pretty strong away record as well. Millwall at the Den is not going to be easy to get a result from there, but I do think Nottingham Forest are strong enough, and if they don't win this game, then I'd say that they need to try and improve as soon as they can, because if you lose 2 games in a row, we've seen it with Preston, you could really start to lose ground in your position of the table, because the championship is so open this year. So I think Forest will get a 2-1 away victory, but it's going to be really tight with Gary Rowett. Millwall are always going to be competitive. We now have Huddersfield versus Leeds, a Yorkshire derby on our hands. I'm really excited to see this one. Huddersfield have improved a little bit under Cowley, starting to rise up the table a little bit, not that much though, so I wouldn't say Huddersfield are guaranteed to be safe just yet. With Leeds, they have won 5 games in a row. They're in their strongest form so far this season, along with West Brom, who are undefeated for a while now, since losing to Leeds, funnily enough. But Leeds are having a very, very strong record, and actually they're really starting to having a lot of attacking flair at the moment. I'm really getting more comfortable watching Leeds after their shaky start to the season. Leeds have had a little bit of joy against Huddersfield away from home in recent times. It's actually at Ellen Road when Leeds struggled to play against Huddersfield, but at the John Smith Stadium, I say Leeds have a pretty strong record against Huddersfield Town actually. And with Leeds having the best away record in the whole league as well, I cannot back anything more than Huddersfield getting, I'd say, 2-1 away victory again. I think Leeds will be stronger. I think they will be a little bit clinical in this game. Don't think they'll score plenty of goals. I mean, scoring 4 against Middlesbrough was almost a revelation, considering that Leeds have got a tight defence but don't score many. I don't think they'll score many again against Huddersfield because Huddersfield have looked a little bit more defensively organised. But I think with the overall quality, the amount of chances they will have, they'll take 2 of their chances, and I think defensively they'll be pretty much sound. So I would say Leeds get a 2-1 away victory, but I'd say Carlton Grant might be a bit of a threat and manage to score. So it'll be a very, very interesting game, and with a Yorkshire derby, I'm anticipating it to be very entertaining. Next up is Hull City versus Stoke City. It is so impossible to predict Hull. They beat Preston, but then they lose to Barnsley, so you really can't put your finger around Hull. They are a home vote, and I think at the KCOM, Hull are a very strong outfit. With Stoke under Michael O'Neill, there have been promising signs, but they have not been completely fixed yet. They still need to try improve defensively. That's been the one area which I think they've really struggled the whole entire season, to be honest with you. I think with goals, they are improving a little bit. They're looking a lot more creative going forward now under Michael O'Neill. But in terms of defensively, that still needs a lot of work. Hull, their strengths are the counter-attack and with the wings, Grzycki and Bowen going forward. If they're both having a really good game, they could win the game with one. So especially Jarrod Bowen, he's had an unbelievable season so far, clearly auditioning for a Premier League club. If he doesn't get a Premier League club by next year, then I'll be so surprised. He's been the main target of the transfer window for the past 2 or 3 seasons now, and I can really see why. Stoke actually have a very good record against Hull City in recent years, so I am going to back that Hull get a 2-0 home victory. I think Hull will be alright in this game. I think Stoke will be a little bit threatening, but I think overall Hull will be very prepared, and they won't change the way they play, but I think they'll play the counter-attack very, very well, and I think that sudden change of the game will catch the Stoke defenders out. So that's why I think Hull would just about get a 2-0 home victory. There's a very huge game happening in the bottom of the table. We've got Luton Town versus Wigan Athletic, 21st versus 22nd. Whoever wins this game will then be in the relegation zone into the next game. Neither can afford to be in that position. If Luton don't win this game, I could see Graham Jones being under tremendous pressure for Luton. They're not in a great run of form. They beat Charlton recently, but they also lost 7-0 to Brentford. And it wasn't even the scoreline I was most disappointed with. It was the first half, how they practically rolled over for Brentford and made it way too easy for them. They didn't really compete until the second half, but even then, they never really looked like scoring. They've got to be up for this game against Wigan, because if they do get a victory against Wigan, it'll really hurt them, but it could really benefit Luton, who can make a little bit of ground because the bottom of the table, as if the top of the table, is also very open. With Wigan, they have had okay performances. I've not been too troubled about Wigan so far. I've just been concerned about their lack of goals, the lack of points they've won away from home as well. Although having said that, Luton have never beaten Wigan, so for this, it's Wigan's to lose in my opinion. Although you could say the same thing about Luton. I think at Kenilworth Road, Luton are a little bit stronger. I think away from home, they really haven't figured something out. Their first competitive meeting since 2003, would you believe, which is absolutely mind-blowing. They're playing against each other for the first time in over 15 years. So it's almost impossible to try and predict what might happen in this game. But having said that, I think that this would be a 1-1 draw. I think these two sides will actually cancel each other out. I think both teams will have moments of brilliance, but I think overall their quality is just not going to edge the team over the other team. And I think this result will affect Luton more than it does for Wigan since they're at home. But I'm anticipating that this may be a close game, but I think this will be a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think in the comments, by the way. So next up is Middlesbrough versus Charlton. Middlesbrough are coming in the back of a 4-0 battering against Leeds, where they only have one shot on target in that game. Not a very, very convincing performance on their part, especially as they held a really, really good fight against Hull. With Charlton, they're struggling. They're really not picking up that many wins. They've not won for quite some time now. I don't think they've won one game in their last 6 or something. I think that's the stat. It's not a very encouraging run of form from Lee Boyer at all. Of course, big news coming out of Charlton. They've now got new ownership, if that's what's happened. But something's really, really big has happened with Charlton now, and the results are not really showing for it at the moment. Middlesbrough have a very strong record against Charlton, and they'll be looking at this game thinking that they could use this game to try and get some 3 points. But Middlesbrough are just not the same as they have been in previous years. They're not this promotion envy team anymore, I don't think, under John Woodgate. Not unless that his style starts to get better results, because right at the moment it's not working. It really isn't. However, the last time they were at the Riverside against Hull, I saw some really promising signs, but they threw away a 2-goal lead. And I'm anticipating that this is going to be a 2-2 draw. I think both teams will be really up for this game, trying to win. I think there is quality in both sides. Middlesbrough, you've got Sambalonga, who's pretty good. You've got Conor Gallagher for Charlton, who's good. We still don't have Lyle Taylor, which has been, I think, been a huge blow for Charlton. I think it's now catching up to them, but they're missing that clinical goal scorer in Lyle Taylor. But I think these two sides will draw against each other and get a 2-2 draw out of it, and a very entertaining game, I think. Next up is Queen's Park Rangers versus Preston. Queen's Park Rangers had a salvageable draw against Derby. They weren't great in that game against them in Pride Park, although they did win a penalty, and that was just about enough to make it 1-1. But I think you'd think that they were a little bit lucky that they didn't lose the game, with Derby should have wrapped up the game in the first half. With Preston there in their worst run of form so far this season, with 3 defeats on the bounce, they need to move on from that as soon as they can. And Queen's Park Rangers are a really difficult side at Loftus Road, but you would expect Preston to score. But an unbelievable stat for you: 6 meetings, 6 wins for Preston. So they've got to look at this game and think, right, we've got a fantastic record against Queen's Park Rangers. We have to make this a must-win game. And they need to if they want to try and stay in the competition of the playoffs. Forget about promotion at the moment, honestly, because Leeds and West Brom are in fantastic runs of form, and until not one of those sides loses a game, no side can really catch up with them at the moment. But keep winning many games to try and keep in the race of the playoffs, because 2 defeats later, Preston conceded themselves outside the top 6, and with a fantastic start that they had, they'll be absolutely devastated if they lose grasp of it. Obviously, 2 seasons ago, they were 7th and 1 point off the playoffs. This season, for me, there's no excuse. They have to make the playoffs after the terrific start they've had. But Queen's Park Rangers won't make it easy. They've got fantastic players in Eberici Eze, who's been one of the players of the season so far for me. Naki Wells and Jordan Hugo can bang in a couple of goals now and then. It's been their defence have been a bit questionable over, and their goalkeeper, Joe Lumley, I'm just not too sure about the whole defensive setup, and it goes to show that they haven't kept a clean sheet yet. So I think this game will be a 1-1 draw. I think neither side is going to win. I think with Preston at the moment, I think the fact when you have 3 defeats in a row, it's going to take a big test to try and break that. And I think with Queen's Park Rangers so far, they do have a lot of quality in the attack. So I think Preston will find that troublesome. However, I don't think they'll be troublesome trying to attack Queen's Park Rangers because their defence is quite fragile. But at the same time, I've not been convinced with Preston's away record, which is why I'm going to give them a 1-1 draw. But this game could go either way. Even Queen's Park Rangers could win if they have a lot of their attacking players on game. But for me, it'll be a 1-1 draw. Next is Reading versus Birmingham. Both of these sides are not that far away from each other in terms of the table and position as well. It's been confirmed today that Pep Clotet is now officially the new manager for Birmingham City. He's now been offered the job and is not an interim manager anymore. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I put a question mark on the timing of it because it was after a pretty disappointing game against Millwall, with it being a 1-1 draw at St Andrews. For me, the timing confused me, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But they've done it. They've stood by Pep Clotet. The owners have obviously liked Birmingham's start so far this season, which has been alright. It's been typical Birmingham, have good periods, but then not really take that extra step. With Reading under Mark Bowen, who technically they don't even have a proper manager in charge. Although it has to be said, Mark Bowen has really added an extra punch to his side, and George Puskas had a fantastic game last week, getting a hat-trick in 5 minutes, which is outstanding. With a head-to-head record, Reading do have a slightly stronger record, and I think with all things considered, with the players that they do have, I'm going to predict that Reading get a 2-1 home victory. I think they've got enough in them to trouble Birmingham. I think defensively, Birmingham have been a bit touch and go, and same goes for Reading actually, in my honest opinion. But I think attacking wise, I think Reading are stronger, which is why I'm predicting a 2-1 home victory for Reading. I'm really looking forward for Sheffield Wednesday versus Brentford, because I believe both of these sides with a win could really likely be in the playoffs, going to show how open this whole championship season is. Sheffield Wednesday, after Gary Monk, they've had a few dodgy games, but overall, in terms of the performance, the organisation, the midfield especially, I think all of it is absolutely sublime for Sheffield Wednesday. They've really transformed from their horror show I can only describe from last season. With Brentford, they had a really dodgy start this season, but Thomas Frank has seemed to get his side scoring plenty of goals now. I mean, you saw it last week, 7-0. I think like Ollie Watkins have also stepped up his game aside. Ben Rama's playing well now. Brentford overall look really good, and what's really different about Brentford is how strong they are defensively as well. I remember after Dean Smith, they were really fragile defensively, so if anything, from their good attack, their defence has let them down, but they look more solid, and now they're scoring goals, they can now climb up the table, and see the excitement that most fans had with the signings they made in the transfer window this season. But Sheffield Wednesday is not going to be an easy place to go to. Sheffield Wednesday did beat Brentford last time they were at Hillsborough as well. I'm really struggling to predict this one, because I can make a statement for why both of these sides can win. With Sheffield Wednesday, they've got Barry Bannon, they've got a fantastic midfield, they've got Stephen Fletcher up front, who I think has done well as well. They've also got a really good defence as well, and they've got a great goalkeeper, whether it's Westwood or Dawson coming in. I think I'm going to predict I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to predict a 2-1 away victory to Brentford. I think Brentford, for me, have more goals within them, and I think defensively they'll be a little bit stronger. And I'll also give a shout out to David Raya in the Brentford goal. I think he's been terrific so far this season. So for me, I think this will be a very close game, but I think Brentford will slightly edge it by 2-1. Now next up is Blackburn versus Derby. Blackburn have been a side that's been a bit hit and miss. Few good games, few questionable games, if I'm going to be honest. With Derby, they've been okay at home, I would say, but away from home, it's been a big question mark. I think a lot, alongside with Luton, they don't have a really strong away record at all, and they don't look like a team that know how to deal with away games for me. But with Blackburn, they have improved a little bit. I would say that getting a 2-1 away victory against Stoke, I think that was a really good game for Blackburn. I think they played the game plan completely right, and there's been many times this season where I think Blackburn have missed out on a few games because tactically Tony Mowbray have not set Blackburn up correctly. But to be fair to him, results have improved, and I think tactically Blackburn are a little bit stronger. And I think at Ewood Park, it is one of the most difficult stadiums to get a point from. Very few teams have beaten Blackburn at Ewood Park so far this season. I think that will continue, and I think Derby, despite the potential it does have in terms of Philip Koku's system, I think Blackburn will edge Derby by 1-0. I don't see many goals in this game actually. I think both of these sides will be very solid, and I think that's what Derby will be. I think they'll be solid defensively and occasionally try and get them from a looping ball or a counter-attack. But I think Blackburn, they'll feel confident, I think, being at Ewood Park. And I think that extra bit of confidence, that extra bit of desire, I think they'll get a 1-0 home victory out of it. Next up is Cardiff versus Barnsley. And I have to say, Cardiff under Neil Harris have improved. Their results have definitely improved. They're now in the top 10 in the table. Only 3 points below the playoffs. So who knows what could happen with Cardiff. If they have a really good run of form, they can make a late surge to the playoffs, and maybe my prediction of Cardiff being first may not look so stupid after all. But with Barnsley, they're still slumping a little bit, although they did get their first win in over 18 games, beating Hull by 3-1. And in that game, it wasn't perfect. Offensively, they were asleep a couple of times, but it was just Hull, you know, they had a really off day. As I've said, Hull's so impossible to predict, but at home as well, they looked really, really up for it. But away from home, I don't know how Barnsley are going to be up for this game. They've not won many points away from home so far this season, and I think it will struggle because Cardiff have one of the strongest home records as well this season. Looking at their previous games, not many goals come about from this game, and I can see why. Cardiff are a very, very defensive side, do like to play from set pieces, so that hasn't changed out of Cardiff. And with Barnsley as well, whilst they do have potential, I think away from home, they don't really have a clinical edge about them, so I don't think they score many away from home either. On me, I think this game will be a 2-0 home victory to Cardiff. I think they'll be a little bit comfortable against Barnsley. I think Barnsley will try, but I think defensively, Cardiff will be a little bit organised. And I think from that, I think Cardiff will edge Barnsley, and it'll put Cardiff in a really good position. It could potentially put them as high as 7th if results go their way. So I'm going to predict a 2-0 home victory to Cardiff. One of the most interesting games this weekend is Fulham versus Bristol City. More or less, Bristol City have a very strong record against Fulham, but Fulham have 4 wins out of 4, so they're in a really good run of form under Scott Parker. But what I've seen with Fulham so far, I watched their live game against Swansea, and they weren't all that great, to be honest with you. I think they were good for about 40 minutes out of the 90 minutes. Out of the 50 minutes when they were under pressure, they were really, really strong, and they were made sure that they didn't let the opposition overtake them in terms of goals. And when they did get their chance, they are so clinical. They are really dangerous going forward. When you've got the attacking players of Cavallero, Knockaert and Mitrovic and Reed, they're almost spoiled for choice. All 4 of them can score very clinical goals, no problem. With Bristol City, they had a fantastic win against Huddersfield Town, a terrific response from their 4-1 battering against West Brom. With Bristol City may feel a little bit uncomfortable knowing that they've got a really strong form. But having said that, Bristol City have actually beaten Fulham last time they were at Craven Cottage. Of course, Fulham were down to 10 men if you remember the game. Bristol City play in a way that does really excite me actually, and I think it's a really attacking kind of play. I'll be interested if Eliasson starts the game. Sometimes with Eliasson, sometimes he's more of an impact sub. But for me, Eliasson against Huddersfield Town was absolutely terrific. He was really, really tearing apart that midfield for me. And for me, he has to start. Whether he does start, we'll have to wait and see. With Fulham, I think their weakness is still defensively. If they do look a little bit flustered, they do look a little bit panicky defensively. So if Bristol City are going to get a victory, it's going to be exposing that defence probably from a counter-attack, or maybe from an interlocking play in midfield, or maybe even a simple set piece. So I think for this game overall, I think both teams will score, but I think this game will be a 2-1 home victory to Fulham. I think with that run of form, I think when you get a really good run of form, it's very difficult not to lose it unless something in the game goes against you, in my opinion. And I think with the clinical players they do have, and with Bristol City, you know, sometimes playing a really good style of football, but it can leave them a bit open. They, I think, have faced the most shots in the Championship so far, I think, along with Luton Town. So Bristol City could concede many chances, and I think with the clinical players that Fulham do have, I think they will take their chances. But that's the only reason why I'm going to edge Fulham for a 2-1 home victory. The last game is Sunday's game, West Brom versus Swansea. I'll be very interested to see what happens in this game because West Brom are in a really, really good run of form. Swansea have been in a bit of an inconsistent run of form, but their away form has been terrific. They've not lost away from home yet. And Swansea, they do play some really good stuff. I saw it against Fulham, and I was surprised they didn't score more than the 1 goal than they did. I think just so far, sometimes they try and play out for the back and they make a few mistakes and they could really leave themselves open. So I say some of their defeats lately have just been from individual mistakes and them shooting themselves in the own foot. With West Brom, they always seem to find a way to win a game, even though they may not be playing well. They did play moderately well against Preston in the first half. I think in the second half, I think West Brom were a little bit tame. West Brom just seemed to find a way to win the game, and I think that's really important when you're trying to get promoted. Swansea, I thought, had that in the start of the season, but it's kind of lost a little bit. I think this will be a fierce rivalry. Both these sides were in the Premier League at the same time and were both relegated at the same time. Both last season had envy being promoted. However, I do believe that West Brom will edge this by 3 goals to 1. I think West Brom at home, especially at the Hawthorns, have got a really strong record there. They've not lost to the Hawthorns for a very long time now. And I think they do have the best home record in the whole league now. So I believe that West Brom will win by 3-1, but I think Swansea will offer them the fight. You just feel that with the quality in the midfield that with West Brom having Dean Garner, Brad Phillips and Matthias Pereira, I think West Brom will edge it by 3-1. But anyway guys, here are my score predictions for Matchday 20. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of your team's situation so far? What do you think of their league position so far? And how do you feel with your team coming to this weekend? Let me know in the comments down below. As you may have noticed, I do have a Christmas tree behind me. I am feeling very festive. That will be there until January's videos. So enjoy the little bit of festivity. But apart from that guys, I think that wraps it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked what you see, please make sure you do give the video a like, share to as many Championship fans as you can, and do subscribe if you haven't done so. All of that would be terrifically appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care.